And I'm live. Dun 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 dun. I should have some music. I should actually have some music going while I'm waiting for people to come on. Dun 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 dun. I haven't got my vegan life cup. Bugger. Wasn't thinking ahead with that one. Anyway, dun 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 dun. Oh, Matt's joined. Great. Oh, because I can only do elevator music for so long. How are you, Matt? Dun 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 dun. And Jodie's joined, and Lisa's joined, and Nicole's joined. Oh, good. People are starting to come online. That is excellent on a very warm Tuesday afternoon. What is it? The 6th of October, and it's very warm. It's very, very warm. Anyway, I thought I'd do this live stream early because it's because if I do it later, I'll be asleep. So thank you for joining in to a live stream where I want to get your opinion. Oh, I love getting people's opinion. I had a really great live stream last night, getting lots of comments and opinions from people last night. And so I want to talk about something that has come up as a relevant topic. And that is to do with where we're putting our money, who we're supporting, and you know, why we're doing that, why we're supporting her. And Annie's done a little happy face. Good on you, Annie. So when there's a vegan, vegetarian, and omni place in the same street, which do you support? That is the question, and that's what I want to get some feedback on. And this is based on a post that I've done this afternoon, 2 hours ago, on my page, which has had a lot of, well, it's had, yes, a hell of a lot of comments, over 100 comments so far. So it has generated quite a bit of interest, but it's also generated a bit of controversy. So I thought it'd be good to do a live stream about it. And Annie says, please for this chat. Yes. And I'm pleased that you've joined us, Annie. So, and I just did a little question then saying, I want your opinion, as a little question on my page. And the opinion was, if it's a vegan or a vegetarian, a vegan, vegetarian, and omni restaurant in the same street, which one do you go to? Everybody has answered vegan except one. So that's pretty good. Everybody's, and in fact, Annie, you were the first one to answer it. But everyone's answered vegan except one person who has said depends on the restaurants, and I won't name that person. Even Judy just said definitely the fully vegan for us. Even if we had omnis with us, we would encourage them to try the vegan. So thank you, Judy. That's good. And that is a really relevant point, because that is something that I've just done naturally myself for years with friends and family. The whole idea of going to a non-vegan restaurant is just, you know, it's like, yeah, sort of equated with hell, really. So, yeah. But anyway, let's just have a start off here by this year. Since the beginning of this year, I think it's, well, actually, with the exception of one place, since the beginning of, there has been, as of the end of next week, there will have been 9 fully vegan places in Gold Coast, Brisbane, Northern New South Wales that have closed. 8 of them will have closed this year, and 1 of them closed last year. Now, I mean, I can go through the list. I've got them here. If you start at the top end of the coast, you've got Go Vegan Deli at Noosa. Then you come down to Mandela's here on the Gold Coast. The 2 Naked Treaties shops, one in Robina and one in Byron Bay. Syrah Bar at Burleigh. The Beat at Byron Bay. Feed the Earthlings in Brisbane. Feed the Earthlings in Broadbeach. And sadly, Feed the Earthlings in Treetops, which will be closing Sunday week. So that's also another reason why I'm doing this live stream, because it's relevant to this happening. As somebody said to me today, I think it was Letitia, commented and said, why are all these places closing? Now, I've done live streams about this before, and it's generated a bit of controversy because people don't want to actually look at the reasons why. Kathleen says support vegan businesses. Yana says vegan, good on you. And he says, what? Yes. Yeah, 9 places. And as I've just listed the places there. Now, you know, this came up as a discussion earlier this year on one of the vegan forums. And somebody was asking why, you know, they wanted to get feedback. And so I gave them feedback, and they didn't want to hear it. They didn't believe it. In fact, they got so angry with the feedback I was giving them that they blocked me. I was like, okay, so you've asked a question and I'm giving you the feedback from the business owners and you don't like what you're hearing. It's like, well, you know, you asked the question, you got the answer. Don't shoot the messenger. So anyway, that's sort of a little bit off topic, but it is interesting that it's almost like, well, we want to know what's going on, but we don't really want to know what's going on. So, so what has happened earlier this year when I started hearing about different vegan places starting to close, some of them I knew about before they closed, and because I'd been in, the owners of these places had contacted me, so I knew that it was imminent or very likely that they were going to close some of these places. But what happened was when I posted about it, I actually started getting private messages from different places around the world, from vegan business owners that were either still in business and about to close, or had a vegan business and had closed. So in those two, and when I say around the world, I'm talking about nearly every state in well, not every state in Australia, but definitely New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia. I can't remember if there was one from Perth. I don't think there was. Queensland, and then New Zealand, the US, and the UK. So I had private messages from vegan business owners from those locations. So that's a really good representation of not just here where I live, not just my little bubble, but the other parts of Australia and the other parts of the world. And what was interesting was that when I would receive these messages, I was getting the same story. Now, this is the thing. I was getting the same story. So it's like, okay, it's not area specific because it's happening in different parts of the world. So it's not relating necessarily to the economy of that location. It's not relating to the style of food of that location. It's not relating to the different variables that might happen, because the same thing, the same message that I was getting back from different vegan business owners who didn't know each other from different parts of the world was this. And he says, be right back. Mindfulness taking in the sunset. That's brilliant. So basically what I was getting was this same thing where they're saying they started up, they had vegan customers come along, support them, and then usually within the space of about a year or so, they would notice that the vegan customers would drift away. Now, if this just happened to one place, you'd say, okay, well, they drifted away because, you know, the food wasn't the best, or the prices, you know, were too high, or the location was. If it happened to two places, you'd sort of go, yeah, okay, that's a coincidence. If it happened to three, you'd go, yeah, there's a bit of a pattern happening here. If it happened to four, you go. Now, we're talking 9 places in the area, in the southeast Queensland area alone. This is just 9 places here. Then you go to other parts of Australia and other parts of the world. It's not a coincidence when you get the same message again and again and again that vegans stopped supporting a fully vegan place and were literally going down the road and not only eating, but taking photos of the vegan options at Omni restaurants and then posting about them on social media. This is how the vegan business owners knew about it, because they would know their customers, some of their customers, and they would see their posts. They would be friends with them online on social media, and they would see them posting about the vegan options at an Omni restaurant that is in the same, you know, block of shops or whatever. And this is happening in different parts of Australia. It's happening in different parts of the world. So it's not Harry Bowman saying, oh, this is Harry Bowman's idea. This is Harry Bowman, the messenger, sending a message from business owners. Earlier this year, I did live streams about this. I did posts about it. And unfortunately, I got shot down sometimes. And again, it's like, why? Isn't the whole thing about being vegan to do no harm and to try and protect animal rights as much as possible? How can we be doing that if we're still supporting the industries that are protecting animal rights? The complete irony and hypocrisy there is, it's just black and white, basically. And it's something that really astounds me that vegans, when given the option, would still go and support a place that deals in death. And so Carl says, I will let Sutherland Shire Vegan Club know this. Excellent. Excellent, Carl. Yeah, show them the live stream. And Judy, hello, Judy. How are you? How are you? Thank you for watching. So, what I've noticed come up and this is something. So, okay. So this is what vegan business owners have been telling me for approximately a year now. That this is what they've noticed, that their trade has dropped off. That a lot of their regulars, a lot of their vegan regulars, they have noticed it just aren't coming back. And we're not talking, again, we're not talking about businesses that have just opened up. In some cases, like Mandela's have been going like 10 odd years. Mandela's used to be packed. Mandela's was one of the first of 2 fully vegan restaurants on the Gold Coast. The other was Tian Ran. And we're talking, they both opened approximately the same time, about 10 years ago. You know, so it's not, so there's a place that had a lot of history, huge support, and then people started going elsewhere. So, you know, several of the other places were a bit like that too. Naked Trees in Byron Bay. I'd go there and it was packed. I didn't go there that often, but that was another example. The Beat in Byron Bay. I mean, fantastic food. It had been open for about a year, and, you know, I've been there several times, and everybody was raving about that. So, Harry says, you are right. I think that's, yeah, you are right. Yeah, I got that spelling there. So, okay, and then that's just talking about the ones that I can talk about that are here on the coast. There are also others, as I say, from other parts of Australia and from the world where the owners contacted me with similar stories. They've been trading, in one case, about 3 years, and they'd got to the point where they just couldn't keep trading because all their regulars had disappeared. Another one had been a similar amount of time. This is in a different part of the world. And yeah, it just, it goes on like that. So, one moment. So I started noticing, when business owners told me this, I started looking more closely at the posts that were coming up on social media. Kathleen says this is interesting and concerning at the same time. I find it is. I find it, it's disappointing and concerning, Kathleen. So I started looking at the posts coming up on social media, and lo and behold, I noticed the trend that the business owners were telling me. I noticed that vegans, some of them long-term vegans, some of them more recent vegans, were posting what seemed to be more and more photos taken at non-vegan, fully non-vegan places, like complete omni places they've gone to because there's vegan options, and we need to support the omni place and keep them in business with the vegan options. And yes, I say that in a sarcastic tone because just think about that for a minute. You know, it's like, oh, well, we need to go to Hungry Jack's and support them so they can keep in business and keep killing animals. Okay, that sounds good. How about we just go down the road to the business that doesn't kill any animals at all and keep them in business and make them successful, and then they can increase from there and set up a second business and a third business, as has happened with one of the very successful examples of that, which is Greenhouse Canteen, which on Thursday is about to open yet another. So they've got Greenhouse Canteen Coolangatta, Greenhouse Canteen Miami, Flora by Love Child also at Miami. They've got Greenhouse Canteen Brisbane, and on Thursday they're opening Flora by, did I say Love Child? Flora by Greenhouse, I should say. Flora by Greenhouse in Brisbane as well. So that's an example of what can happen when you support fully vegan place and it becomes successful and it can grow from there. There is absolutely no sense in supporting a non-fully vegan place and keeping them in business because we're just complicit in them contributing to the industries of death. So I started noticing people posting photos, and Judy says, I think location can play a big part in the choices. And this is, I'm glad you brought that point up, Judy. I'm very glad you brought that up, because I posted this afternoon, I said, you know, that the reasons that I've heard from vegans as to why they're going to either vegetarian or non-vegan places is because of location. So Judy's brought that up. Price, food quality, and service were 4 of the reasons I could remember that I'd seen come up, you know. So people are like, well, it's, you know, it's in the area and the food's really good, you know, and it's got the vegan options and the price is good and all the rest. I'm like, okay, fine. So then, as I posted this afternoon, we had a vegetarian place open month ago, maybe probably in the last 2 months. So yeah, I think that's right. And this place has opened literally 100 meters from a fully vegan restaurant, well-established fully vegan restaurant that is considered by most vegans I know to be the top, the pinnacle of vegan restaurants. It's been very successful. It's been going for 3 or 4 years. And so this vegetarian restaurant opened, very, very close to it, the next block along. So you could probably throw a tennis ball from one to the other and it would bounce to the other. So what it's basically saying is, in that same block, you have got a well-established, fully vegan restaurant with fantastic food, fantastic service, great atmosphere, usually packed, very, very well, anyway, usually lots of people going to it. Can't think of the term. So, great food, good size servings, great price, whatever. So you've got, and then a vegetarian place opens, just down the road from it. When that happened, I actually remember thinking to myself, well, that was really dumb that they've opened there, because, who the hell would go there? You've got this fully vegan place here. Certainly none of the vegans would go there. That's what I thought. None of us vegans would go there. Why would we? Because we're not going to go there for location reasons. We're not going to go there for price reasons. We're not going to go there for service reasons. We're not going to go there for the quality of food reasons. Why would we go there? They serve dairy. They're supporting the slaughter of 700,000 male calves a year in Australia and 21 million male calves a year worldwide that are a waste product of the dairy industry. So why the hell will we support them? And guess what I started to notice on social media? People, I should say, when I say people, fellow vegans going there, posting photos, going, oh yeah, the food here is really good. It's like, yeah, but 100 meters away is a fully vegan place where you're not going to have any chance of cross-contamination, where you're not keeping a business going that is supporting the dairy industry, so in other words, the excuses that I've been hearing that's the reason why we don't go to a fully vegan places, no longer valid. No longer valid if you've got the option in the same street, literally the same street, of going to a vegan, and in this same street, in this same block, within the space of a couple 100 meters, say, there is literally fully vegan, then it goes vegetarian, and then a few 100 meters away, Omni with, I think, vegan options as well. So you've got that variation. Why would, for even a second, why would I go, oh yeah, I'll go down to the Omni place, or I'll go to the vegetarian place, when there's no extra effort at all to go to the fully vegan place, and I'm supporting as much as I can the animals, because isn't that what it's all about? So if a vegan comes back to me and says, oh, well, I went to the other place because the food's better. So my question is, okay, so are you really trying to help the animals, or is it about you and how you think the food tastes? Because all of a sudden it's changing your definition of what being vegan is about. Because for you, it seems to be like, oh, no, well, I think the food tastes better here, so I'll go here. How does that differ to a meat eater going, I think meat tastes better, so I'll keep eating meat? It's coming back to the same selfish mindset. It's like, well, I'm not doing it for the animals. I'm doing it because I think it tastes better, because all the other excuses are gone. It's in the same location. The food is at the fully vegan place is fantastic. The prices are good. The service is fantastic. All of that's, there's no reason to not go. There's absolutely no reason to not go. So I posted today, actually, what have we got? I'll just read some comments here. Harry says, I'm in the middle of nowhere, so I need to go to vegan options restaurants. Completely understand, Harry. And that is my point, that if you have no other, choice, of course. But when you have the choice, why would you not support the fully vegan place? Kathleen says, sorry, I just don't understand why vegans would not support vegan businesses if they have a choice. This is the thing. And this, it's not like they don't know. The vegan friends of mine that have posted on forums and on their pages and have shared the food, have showed the food that they're eating at the non-vegan places, they know the other places. They've been there. I've been there with some of them. It's like, it's not like they don't know. It's like, so And Kat says, whenever I go to Newcastle, I usually eat at vegan places. Excellent, Kat. And Harry says, me too. When I go to Tel Aviv, I'm going to vegan restaurants only. Fantastic. Good to hear. So, so what was it? Okay, so I just want to get back on track here. So, so what I found that here we had this. We've now got the test case basically that's come up in the last year or two when I've talked about why would a vegan not go to a fully vegan place. A lot of the time they say, well, it's just not in the area, and that's fine. That is fine. Yeah, I mean, some of us, like myself and some of us, we don't mind driving. Like yesterday, I drove nearly an hour to have a vegan meal at Loving Hut. I love supporting Loving Hut. Today I drove half an hour to have a vegan meal at Familiar Takeaway. I love supporting them. They're fully vegan. These are the places I want to support. We want these places to be successful, and they will become even more successful, and then I'll set up a second place and a third place and so forth. So, you know, I mean, God, I could have stopped at a million places between here and Loving Hut yesterday. Maybe not a million, maybe that's an exaggeration. I could have stopped at so many places today between here and Familiar Takeaway. Why would I? I'm going to the fully vegan place. I want to support the place that's trying to make a difference in the world and is trying to help the animals. All of us as vegans are wanting to do. I mean, it's not rocket science. Thank you for everyone that's joining. It's what we want to achieve. We want to achieve animal rights. We want animals to no longer be used and abused and enslaved and tortured and raped and slaughtered. So if we want that, why are we not supporting that? So, you know, the Kat says, I don't drive and public transport is very limited. I do, however, make the effort to go to Newcastle every now and then. Yes, well, again, there are other circumstances, such as if you're using public transport or that, which may make it difficult to get to a fully vegan place. So that comes down to location and convenience. But the real test cases come up here now where we've actually got a fully vegan place and a vegetarian place 100 meters away, and we're seeing vegans going and supporting the vegetarian place. And I've got to say, it's disappointing. It's really, you know, I feel sad. It's just vote. It's a vote. Every time we eat, it's a vote for life or death. And, you know, sure, the vegan is going there and ordering vegan food, but they're ordering it from a place that still has the options of dairy and therefore is still supporting that industry. So they're helping to keep alive a business that is killing animals, that is supporting the killing of animals. So Judy says, please someone open a fully vegan eatery in Logan or on the south side of Brisbane. Judy, I've suggested this now to several vegan business owners in the last few months. So maybe. One I was talking to about a month ago actually thought it was a good idea, and he had actually said that he had considered, well, it wasn't Logan, it was actually Coomera that I suggested, and he thought that was a good idea. So definitely there's a lot of vegans living in Coomera where the, you know, because of their location, they would have to drive at least half an hour or more to get somewhere where they could get a fully vegan place. So yeah, that comes down to location. So Jackie says, epic, totally agree with you, Harry, you were right on. And Judy says, thank you. Now I've gone to the water, it's getting too hot in here. So it really, so I really want to appeal to my fellow vegans to really think about what you're doing, because the one thing that came up today when I asked why would anyone support this vegetarian place over the fully vegan place was somebody said, a comment which at first I thought, okay, that makes sense to me. They said, well, the vegetarian place is open for breakfast and lunch, whereas the fully vegan place in that same 100 meters away is only open for dinner. And I thought, okay, fair enough. I was asking for, you know, what could be a possible reason, and there was a possible reason. But shortly afterwards, somebody came back and reminded me, which I couldn't believe I'd even forgotten about, was that just up the road is the fully vegan Love Child, open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week, breakfast, lunch and dinner. And I thought, wow, that's literally 5-minute drive up the road. No, probably even less. You could probably do it in about 3-minute drive. and you could take a bus up in about, yeah, probably 5 minutes. You could probably walk in about 15 minutes to it. So I thought, okay, it's, again, why go to the vegetarian place when you've got that fully vegan option straight up the road there, open 7 days a week. Talk about convenience, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. It's, you know, we're so spoiled now. The other thing that brings us up is the fact that, you know, we're going to Feed the Earthlings remaining store is going to close Sunday of next week. And, you know, I was in there. I mean, yeah, I talked to the owner a bit, but I was in there, like personally in there, ordering something 2 Sunday nights ago. And, you know, I said, I wasn't talking to the owner, I was talking to one of my friends that works in there, and I said, how's it going? And they said, you know, oh, it's pretty quiet. And I thought, yeah, where are all the vegans? You know, I mean, where are you guys? You know, and I just get on social media and I try not to get annoyed when I see a photo that'll just pop up and they're down at, you know, somewhere death restaurant having a vegan option. So Harry says 3 weeks ago a friend of mine opened a full vegan restaurant, but his partner said maybe they will add some vegetarian meals. So I told him as soon as they will do such a stupid thing, not only I'll stop going, I'll tell all my activist team not to go. Yeah, that's fair enough. Why would they do such a thing? They may as well just, well, no, I won't say this, but that's so, again, so disappointing. Friend of mine was eating at a friend of mine that lives in an area where there's not many vegan options at all, and they have to drive quite a distance to go to a place, actually went to a place that had vegan options. So it wasn't a vegan restaurant, had vegan options, and the dessert came out, and guess what? It had dairy in it. You know, they'd asked, they'd, you know, checked that it didn't have dairy in it, and all the rest, and the, you know, the waitress said it was fine, and then it came out, and they took one bite and just went, oh, it has dairy in it, and you know, she was so upset by this, you know, as rightly we should be. And, you know, in that situation, she probably had no choice. But when we have a choice, when we can actually, you know, and that choice is literally 100 meters away from each other, we really need to look at what we're supporting. Because how do we expect veganism to grow if we keep propping up the industries that are preventing it from growing? How can it grow if we keep, you know, and it doesn't just apply to fully vegan restaurants, of course. It applies to any sort of vegan business. If we keep propping up a business, say a cosmetic business or whatever, that tests on animals and has non-vegan ingredients, instead of actually, you know, purchasing, for instance, my favorite brand, which is an Australian brand, fully vegan, not tested on animals, obviously, Sukin, super affordable, easy to get. You know, instead of going and getting our Sukin products or something, we go and get something that isn't. You know, why? You know, we're supporting an industry that has no right, that has no need to change because we're keeping them going. In the same way that when we go to, if somebody goes to HJ's and gets a vegan burger from there, and then, you know, everybody's raving about it and they're posting photos and going, isn't this great? It's great from the perspective that it's a sign of the awareness of the size. It's a sign of the size of the market that the vegan market is. It's not a sign that HJ's or anyone else suddenly developed a conscience, because there's no way they did. Otherwise, they'd change their entire menu to fully vegan. Can you see that happening? So, you know, it's a sign that there's a market there. And while the market exists, a place of death like HJ's will want a piece of that market, not because of any ethics, simply because they're in it just for the money. As soon as there's not that market there for them to get a piece of, that vegan option is gone. You know, it's just gone. So what we get then is an argument with vegans saying, well, we've got to go and support them to, you know, to keep it going. Why? Why do you want to keep it going through a place like HJ's? How about we don't support it? How about we just keep supporting the fully vegan places, they become even more successful, and other vegan business operators see this and they mirror that example and want to be able to do that as well. Now, the last time I did a live stream earlier this year, I think it was, about this topic, one of the people watching it, actually, I had a lot of really positive feedback from vegan business owners afterwards. One of the people watching it was so inspired by, and I know this because I've had many conversations with him since then, but I didn't know it at the time, was so inspired by my message of supporting fully vegan businesses that he sold up his place, moved into state, and opened a fully vegan business. And about a few weeks, maybe a month before it was due to open, he sent me a message and he said, I want you to know that you inspired us to do this. And I'm like, seriously? That's fantastic. And he said, yes, I think doing the right thing. And we started to think about everything you were saying. And, you know, it became a motivation for us to actually open a fully vegan business and to head in that direction. And I thought, that is fantastic. Now, that was one person that messaged me direct about that. And also some other vegan business owners were extremely supportive and were just like, yes, you're on the right track. Just keep pushing that right track. Harry says, vegetarians never notice that there is much more cruelty, suffering, torture and abuse in the dairy and egg industry than in the meat industry. Yes, well, the dairy industry is the meat industry. Milk is liquid meat, as we know. This is why the whole idea of going and supporting a vegetarian place over a vegan place in the same block of shops practically is just revolting and nonsensical to an ethical vegan, surely. You know, Kathleen says, why would you purchase a vegan burger from Hungry Jack's or similar? Yes. Again, Kathleen, why would you? Why would you vote with your money to support that business? The other thing that really stands out for me, you got to remember, I'm a long-term vegan. 38 years this year. Next year, it'll be 39 years that I've been vegan. In the majority of my vegan journey, there has not been vegan restaurants of any kind at all. Any kind. There hasn't been the options that we have now. We are so spoiled that we should not even slightly have to complain about driving 10 or 15 minutes to get to a vegan restaurant. We are so spoiled, it's ridiculous. A lot of us mightn't have that opportunity at the moment. A lot of us mightn't be in areas where that is the case, but it is increasing a lot. This Thursday opens here on the coast another fully vegan Whole Foods plant-based takeaway at Palm Beach here by my friend Chrissy Carvello. The official opening's on Saturday, actually. This Thursday as well opens, as I think I said earlier, I did say earlier, the Flora by Greenhouse Cafe in 239 Boundary Street, West End, if my memory is correct. So, you know, there's a couple more in the local area, and recently on the Sunshine Coast in the last few months, two have opened. Two fully vegan places have opened, Cafe V and Lola's Pantry. And we've also got here in Burleigh Heads on the Gold Coast another fully vegan place due to hopefully open by Christmas. It may take longer than that, but that's the plan, the latest that I'd heard. So you know, there's a lot of opportunity there, and these places only survive if they have the customers in there supporting them. And when you get this feedback from all around the world saying the same thing, that our customers that were vegans are going to other places and supporting non-vegan places, that's why we had to close up shop. I feel so disheartened, because who's it affecting in the end? The animals. And, you know, it's just, you know, we had this, you have this opportunity. You know, I'm talking to younger vegans now. You have an opportunity that I just, yeah, I know, you know, I haven't had for most of my vegan journey. In the 1980s, like I went vegan in 1980, in the early 1980s, mid 1980s, on the Gold Coast that I was aware of, there was one place at Miami that it was, I think at that stage it was called the Garden of Eden or something. It became the Magic Apple, which I later called the Poison Apple. It was a vegetarian place with vegan options. It was very average, and it went for like decades. It closed. It didn't close. It actually changed recently and is now a meat place. Anyway, there's a whole another story. But that was like, if I wanted something to eat, I went there, and I got their vegan options, which was what they called a nut meat saucy, which was like a thick. It was actually pretty good. It was like nut meat, sanitarium nut meat wrapped in pastry. That was pretty good. Can't remember what the drinks were and that, but everything else was pretty average. It wasn't memorable, I'll put it that way. The cakes were pretty good. They had some vegan cakes, but they were so much sugar in it, was ridiculous. It was just really, you could taste the grittiness of the sugar. So that was it. There was a vegetarian restaurant at Labrador, but I never traveled that far in those days. That was like, I never went that far for my holidays, so I never went up there. That was Squirrels, and Diana, who started Squirrels, is a friend. So I never went. So I never went there. And I worked at the time in the 80s, mid 80s. I worked in Mermaid Beach as a real estate agent, and there was a health food shop at Nobby's Beach which had some vegan options there. So I'd go there sometimes for lunch. But again, so it was a case of there wasn't a fully vegan place to go to. I still remember approximately 10 years ago when I first walked into what became Mandela's, before it was Three Worlds Pizza Shop or whatever, when Brendan first opened it, and walking in there and just being amazed that it was fully vegan. It's just like, this is incredible. And also going into Tian Ran in the early days and realizing that it was fully vegan as well, and just going, this is like heaven. And that was the start of heaven. So Anastasia says, where are we? Hang on. Vegans should support a fully vegan restaurant. We want other restaurants to supply vegan options, even if it's baby steps for the future to be vegan. Isn't that the aim? We want other restaurants to go fully vegan. Forget the baby steps. Anastasia says, I'm a new vegan and I understand that we should support vegan restaurants so they stay in business and they can expand and open other restaurants. Exactly. That's my point. Wouldn't that be the most sensible thing that we can do if we're animal lovers? If I'm an animal lover, I go down and I don't partially support the horse race that was on today. Was the Melbourne Cup? Why would I? In the same way, I'm not going to support the dairy industry by going to a place that has dairy options, because even though I'm not buying the dairy options, I am keeping that place in business. And if I'm keeping that place in business at the expense, fully vegan place that I could throw a tennis ball and hit the side of, then I've got to question where I'm coming from, where my ethics are, and whether I really am doing it for the animals, or am I doing it for my taste buds? Because it seems like I'm doing it just for my taste buds. I'm just going to the other place because I think the food tastes better. I'm not doing it for the animals. I've become selfish. I'm doing it for me. So, and that's coming from, and hi, that's coming, from when you've been through all the, the hardships. Like when I used to go on road trips, I would take a car fridge, and the car fridge had like some ice blocks in it to sort of help keep, because I didn't work that well, plugged into the cigarette lighter, some ice blocks in on the bottom to keep it cool. And then there'd be soy milk. I'd have my soy milk in there. I'd have fruit in there. I'd have, different things that I could keep in there, because I knew I wasn't going to be buying anything on the way between here to Sydney. It's not like I was going to be stopping and finding a place, that had stuff, because I just took all my fruit and vegetables with me, and what other vegan food I was eating. And I'd usually take some pasta sauce and pasta and that, and wherever I stayed, I'd cook up some pasta and pasta sauce and whatever. But, that's what we did. I didn't go along and go, oh, well, that's an Omni restaurant, I'll ask if they've got vegan options. I'm not interested in supporting them. I don't want to keep them in business. Why would I? Where would the logic be in that? So no, that's, if we went on a picnic, we'd take, sandwiches, fruit and veggies, whatever, used to take soy yogurts and stuff like that. Because yes, kiddies, back in the old days, there were some really shit soy yogurts that you used to be able to get. Pretty average soy yogurts. They're way better now. But yes, we used to, and there was some soy cheese that was just like, you wouldn't eat the soy cheese. You'd use it as a doorstop. Anyway, I just wanted to get that out there because, I feel very, very strongly that for a while, I was almost believing the excuses some of my fellow vegans were coming up with as to why they kept going to non-vegan places. But now it's just wearing too thin. I just want my fellow vegans to admit that if you're going to a non-vegan place that's literally, 30 seconds walk, or, not a non-fully vegan place, it's literally 30 seconds walk away from a fully vegan place, admit you're doing it because of your taste buds. That's the only reason you're doing it. And then, so if you're doing it because of that, then how is that any different to, sadly, the same excuse a meat eater uses to justify still eating meat? I'm doing it because I love the taste of it. Have a think about that, because that's really, really important that we actually be honest with ourselves about the reason, why we're doing it. If we're doing it for the animals, we'll go, well, hang on a second. I don't want to go there. They serve dairy. They are through that helping to kill 21 million male dairy calves a year worldwide because it's a waste product. Why would I go? I don't want to keep them in business. I'll educate them. I'll go in and say, hey, why don't you ditch the dairy? But I'm not interested in voting for them to stay alive and give them my money. I will go to the place that is a minute's walk away or a 5-minute drive away, that's fully vegan, where there's no chance of cross-contamination, where there's a very good chance that the owners are ethical and possibly vegan and possibly activists or whatever. I want them to survive and thrive and do well, and I want to see them open more restaurants. That's the world we want, isn't it? Don't we want a world that's fully vegan with vegan restaurants everywhere, versus a world that's like, oh, vegan, oh, where's the fully vegan place? Oh, well, it closed down because people stopped going there. What? I'm sorry. So I have to now go to an Omni place and get vegan options? How is that a step forward for the animals and for veganism? I don't get it. It's not. If we keep, this year, as I said at the start, since in the last year approximately, 9 fully vegan places between Noosa and Byron Bay have closed. So think about that. And it's just very, very disappointing that we could have prevented that. So Anastasia says, thanks for that. And Kathleen says, what can you do on social media to make vegans more aware? I guess you might have left that word out. More aware about this issue. I've posted a lot about it. I really have posted a lot about it, Kathleen. Since early this year, I've done live streams about it. I've done long posts about it, to the point where it seems to annoy people, which is interesting. It's interesting that people would get annoyed about it, because an annoyance, a trigger, is coming because of some thinking pattern in that person. If I get triggered by something, what is it in myself that I'm not at peace with? Why am I getting triggered by it? So if I say, well, why are you supporting a fully vegan place? And the person becomes defensive, I stop and observe, and it's like, interesting. Why are you becoming defensive about this? Why are you arguing about this? See, what I love is when it's brought to someone's attention and they go, you know what? That's actually, I hadn't thought about that before, but that's not a bad idea. Maybe I should try and make more of an effort to support the fully vegan places. See, that's being open to, because, and the extension of that is, and because that's going to help the animals. So maybe I'll try and do that because that's going to help the animals, right? Instead of like the sort of reaction that I get from some vegans, which is like, don't tell me where to eat. I'll go and eat where I want to eat. I was, hang on, that's no different to a meat eater saying, don't tell me what to eat. I'll eat what I want to eat. See, that's not a shifting at all away from our selfishness towards a selflessness and being a voice for the voiceless. That's still being selfish and saying, oh, well, look, I'm vegan now, but you still can't tell me what to do. I'll eat where I want to eat. It's not about us. So I'll close by saying this. It's not about us. It's about the animals. And hopefully this live stream will give you some food for thought. We have, in 2018, so many vegan businesses, not just food businesses, but fully vegan businesses that we can support, where we can just do a little bit more research to find them sometimes, maybe just go out of our way, maybe 5 minutes more to get to them. We can actually support these businesses and show other businesses the way forward by doing it. So thank you everyone for watching. And this post, Jackie says, I don't live on the Goldie, but my family does. Recently I stayed there and my non-vegan sister and I went to the LC 4 times. Excellent, fully vegan all the way. Keep up the good work. I was sad not to see Mandela, at least not where I'd been previously. And we sought out anywhere that was cruelty-free. Well, yes, Jackie, Mandela sadly fell victim to their regular vegan customers going elsewhere. It was one of the many that fell victim to it. And it's just, what can I say? But great that you went to LC 4 times. See, fantastic, and great that you sought out anywhere that was cruelty free. That's all any of us as vegans, as animal lovers, that should be, you know, the minimum that we're doing. I think surely that's sensible. And Jackie says, sounds like you're getting some defensive, aggressive responses. Jackie, I am. You should hop over to my post that I posted 2 hours ago and have a look, because yeah, it's very interesting to read some of the comments. They really have gone off tangent a bit, but there is a lot of maybe guilt or something being triggered there with some people. Anyway, thanks. I did say I was going. Go, Harry, go. Thanks for watching, everyone. Remember to live vegan and save lives, and I'll speak to you soon. There's no vegan hour tonight because this is the off week. It's next Tuesday night. So good night, everyone. If I can get this to end, here we go.